Histograms. Y'all ready for histograms? Me neither. Mr. Plunkett, you're talking too loud. It's starting to distort. Chapter 10, Section 2, Histograms. Don't you wish these histograms were history and you didn't have to study them at all? No, of course you don't. Then you wouldn't be able to learn. Essential question. How do I display? Oh yeah, data displays. We learned about box and whisker plots in 10.1. Display different quantities in a data set. Statistics. We're in statistics, ladies and gentlemen. Using intervals. What the monkey shosh? I've never heard of that word in my whole life. That's right, we're going to display in a new data display today. We already used the box and whisker plots. Today we're going to use histograms, histograms. All right, y'all, key idea. A histogram is a bar graph, if you don't know what that is, I don't know how it helps you, that shows the frequency of data values in intervals of the same size. The height of the bar represents the frequency. That's another word we don't know, of the values in the interval. Now, some of you are like, I know what it is. My parents told me. Well, let's look at this. CDs. Let me tell you now, kids, back in my day, we used to listen to music on this thing called a CD. It's just a way to store data. You could even store like files on there. It's old school. But what's more important is the underlying math here. We have two axes. Here's the first, this x-axis. It says number of CDs. And then you see these numbers, 0-9, which means 0 to 9. 10-19, 10 to 19, 20-29, 20 to 29, and finally 30 to 39. Okay, I see that it says intervals of the same size. How big is this interval? 0 to 9 includes 10 numbers. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 to 19, how many numbers are there? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 10 numbers. So all of these ranges are 10. They include 10 different numbers. So these must be our intervals. Intervals are going to be not just one number, but a range of numbers that are all the same size. So the intervals are by 10 here, right? Even though it says 0 to 9, that includes 10 numbers because it includes 0 as the first one. Frequency is here, and that's how many data there are that are either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So imagine a data set where you had one of those numbers. You must have had 4 of them. There must have been 4 numbers that were either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. There must have been, you can see there's 3 here, 3 data values that were between 10 and 19. So maybe it was 10, 10, 10 in the data set. Maybe it was 10, 12, 15 in the data set. We don't know what the data set looks like, but we know there were 3 numbers in the data set that were in this interval. There's only 1 number in the interval of 20 to 29, and it looks like there was 2 in the interval between 30 and 39. You know, the best way to understand this is to do an example. I know you're like, I wish you'd beatbox again, Mr. Plunkett. You drop that beats like treats, even though they're pretty bad. I know everybody. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to get down with the hipping and the hopping and the beeping and the bopping. Question, how do I make a histogram? So that thing we just were looking at is a histogram. And as you can see, we're going to construct one here. And here's how a histogram works. It has intervals on your x-axis and frequency on the y-axis. So the frequency table, frequency is how many times something happens. Frequency is how many times, it's the number of data that occur in the data set, number of times that data occurs in the data set. So the frequency table shows the numbers of laps that that people in a swimming class completed today. Display the data in a histogram. Okay, number of laps. So for anybody who completed 1 lap, 2 lap, or 3 laps, it looks like there was 11 people who did that. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a bar, right? It says that a histogram is like a bar graph. A bar that is here. So people who got 1, 2, or 3, there were 11 people who got that. The frequency was 11. who got the interval 1, 2, or 3, between 1 and 3. The next number of laps, the next interval is 4 to 6. Now you notice it's the same range of numbers. 1, 2, 3 includes 3 different possible numbers of laps. 4, 5, 6, 3 different possible numbers of laps. But this frequency, or the number of people who swam either 4, 5, or 6 laps, is 4. So we're going to put a line, a bar like that. Okay, now the, what's that word again, where it's the range of numbers and they're all the same size? Oh yeah, the interval 7 to 9, and its frequency is 0. So that means nobody. So I'm just gonna make a little line here at 0, which just means nobody. Okay, now the, what's that word for the same, they're the same size, the same numbers, same range of values. Oh, they're all 3. Oh yeah, interval, 10 to 12, and there is a frequency of 3. That means how many people swam 10, 11, or 12 laps? 3. And yours probably is better than mine. And finally, the interval 13 to 15, which includes 3 numbers, 13, 14, 15, that frequency is 6. So I'm going to make a bar that goes up to 6. Okay, this is called a histogram. It has intervals on the x, or the bottom axis, and then it has frequency on the y-axis. That's a histogram. And all the bars are connected, right? All the bars are connected, and it's one of our data displays. Remember that intervals are blank-sized groups of numbers on the number line. These are, well, they're all 3, so they are same, or I think it's equal-sized groups. Is that right? Remember that intervals are, yeah, equal sized groups of numbers on the number line. So see, I would have written same, but I guess it means basically the same thing. Frequency is the blank of blank data occur in the data set. Is the number of times data occur in the data set. So how many times did 1, 2, or 3 occur in the data set? A frequency of 11. How many times did 7, 8, or 9 occur in the data set? 0. So you could create like a fake data set here for this. So I need 11 different people with 1, 2, or 3. I'll have maybe, I don't know, 4 1s, 2 2s. That's 4, 5, 6. Oh man, I need 11, so I need 5 3s, right? So this is one possible data set for that first interval, right? But really, we don't know how many of each one of these numbers had come up. Maybe it was only 1 1, and it was a bunch of 2s and maybe just a couple 3s. We don't know. We just know there were 11 different data values. The frequency is 11 of the interval 1 to 3. All right, that's it for part 1 of this video. Go ahead and go to part 2.